Welcome. You are here again. Welcome. Salutations. Hope you had a great day. Hope everything's going well for you. You are now listening to Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. Yes, sir. And this podcast is brought to you by the League of Melanated Gentlemen Podcast Network. Go check that out. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your cousins, brothers, sisters, everybody. Shoot it out to everybody. And hopefully they can take a listen. Today, folks, we have a packed episode. We're going to touch on a bunch of different things, jumping from AEW to New Japan to WWE. We're going to jump around a little bit. So we should have some fun. You know how it goes. You know how it goes around here. Matches of the week. My first match of the week is New Japan. I'll touch on what I've been digging into the G1 Climax tournament. And this is my first time really diving into the G1 Climax tournament. It's for those that don't know, that's a tournament they have every year in New Japan. It's very it's like prestige of prestige. It's like the World Cup of wrestling, low key. It really is. And so they do this every year. It's low key like the AAU of wrestling. It's really dope if you really enjoy wrestling, because it's really just about in the ring stuff. So. Our first match was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Alex Coughlin. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Alex Coughlin. Man, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Alex Coughlin. Alex Coughlin was a fun match, man. So I was clicking around. I was on YouTube, whatever. I subscribed to New Japan Wrestling on YouTube. And thankfully, they've pretty much posted, I won't say every match, but they've posted a lot of the highlights of every match. And sometimes even the highlights show the full match, which is really cool, which I appreciate. And so this one I was like, let me check this out. I like Zack Sabre Jr. I'm a big fan of his. So I was like, let me check this out. And man, I'm glad I did. It was a good time, man. Two contrasting styles. Zack Sabre Jr., for those that don't know, I think he's from the UK. Has been over in New Japan doing a really good job. I think he's their strong champion, holds the belt over there. And man, Zack Sabre Jr. is like the technical wizard, bro. Like he makes some of these guys who we think over here who are really technically sound, he makes them look, less than. Like dude is the fun thing I love about Zack Sabre Jr. And I talked about him in our wrestling matches of the week a few episodes ago when Forbidden Door. When it was in that four-way match with, a few other people, including, I think it was Tanahashi. I think it was Orange Cassidy and Daniel Garcia. It was a really fun match. But like I touched on then, Zack Sabre Jr. is the technical wizard, but he's fun to watch, right? Like we all know, like sometimes it isn't fun to just watch I might think it's fun, but like the casual fan might not think it's fun to watch the guy who's doing, ankle locks. He hits your arm. So the rest of the match, he's like focusing, he's hitting your arm with 93 different moves. Like some people aren't entertained by that. But Zack Sabre Jr. does it so well, so fluidly, so smooth with it. And he's a really good talker too. So he talks shit while he's doing it. But yeah, it's just really entertaining to watch. Like it's not many, that's a gift of his. Like there's not many people out here who you really want to watch all the time when they're a technical guy. You know what I mean? William Regal was great, but people wasn't paying tickets to come see William Regal. No offense to the guy. He was outstanding. But Zack Sabre Jr. has a little more charisma to him, a little more, you know what I mean? And Alex Coughlin, I'm new to this guy. This is my first introduction. I kind of seen highlights, but and he looked impressive, but I never seen a match. And man, I'm glad I checked this out because Alex Coughlin, if you think of a guy with Austin Theory's build, but way more grounded in his wrestling style. Like he doesn't do like a lot of the athletic stuff that Austin Theory does, but Alex Coughlin actually uses his physical stature. You know what I mean? Austin Theory sometimes doesn't use that big swole body he has. He's usually jumping around doing all kind of athletic stuff, which he's great at. But Alex Coughlin, most of his offensive moves are based on power, based on strength. Like it was some stuff he was doing with Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. is not a small guy. Zack Sabre Jr. is not a cruiserweight by any means. He's kind of like a light heavyweight. And man, Coughlin, dude, I'm looking here, 6'2", 205. He looks about 225, but dude was throwing around Zack Sabre Jr. whenever he got offense in. His German suplexes look great. His power, like, yeah, and I love about New Japan, like their German suplexes are, and it's kind of made its way over in the States too, but their German suplexes are like a deadlift German suplex. You know what I'm saying? Like in WWE, a lot of times it's in the United States, a lot of times, you know, the German suplex is like, okay, I got you. Okay, when I lift, the dude jumps with me, and it looks cool, but like in New Japan, a lot of times it's like, nah, like the dude. Zack Sabre Jr. sometimes was like on the ground, face down on the ground, and Alex Coughlin walk up, grab him, put his arms around his waist, and like deadlift him all the way up and then all the way down over him for a German suplex. And it looks way more impressive. You know what I mean? Especially for a powerful guy like that. So that match it was fun to watch, man. Like it was the dudes beating the hell out of each other. Two dudes who were really talented as far as wrestling is concerned. And it was just fun to watch. Zack Sabre Jr. came out with the win. He really focused on Alex Coughlin's arm throughout the match and had a bunch of different holds for him, and eventually got the arm bar, and that was pretty much it for him. But really good match. Both of them put on a show. It was really fun to watch. And it was a really good like introduction for me as someone who's kind of newer to New Japan, trying to really dive into New Japan culture and the G1 Classic. I'd always heard about it, but I was kind of, you know, it's fun to get a great match as your first introduction to this whole big historic thing. Next one was Athena versus Willow Nightingale, and that was for the ROH Women's Championship, and that was really fun too. Willow Nightingale, that's one of my favorite women's wrestlers in AEW. I think Jamie Hayter is my favorite. And then Willow's probably second, you know what I mean? And Willow, bigger girl, really athletic, has a lot of charisma, and is really good in the ring. Like, and she's a workhorse. Like, homegirl be wrestling on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, then the next Monday. Like, she be out here. She be collecting them checks, so good for her. But yeah, Athena, for those that don't know, Ember Moon, who used to be in NXT, in WWE and NXT. She jumped up and went to WWE, you know, main roster, but her main that people know her from is from Ember Moon in NXT. She was a great champion there. And but as Athena in AEW, she's been killing it, right? She's the ROH champion, women's champion. So she was defending her title against Willow, and she came out with a victory. Really fun match between those two. It's always great to see two black women going up against each other in a wrestling match, especially for a championship. Like, it was just dope to see. But they lived up to the bill. Really good match. Really fun. I think Athena, low-key, is like, might be the best women's champion we have, like, in wrestling right now. You know what I'm saying? We got Rhea Ripley. We got Asuka. We got Toni Storm as a women's champion in AEW. But, like, Athena can hang with anybody. You know what I mean? And I just really like what she's doing right now. And she kind of fell off there for a bit, but I'm glad to see she's getting appreciated. Again. So my next one, just to finish out, is the Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders. Alpha Academy is one of the like underrated, like over groups right now. So like, as we all know, LA Knight is over as hell with the crowd right now. Like, he's the guy. The crowd is, anytime his music hits, they love him. But what people aren't noticing as much is like Alpha Academy is slowly building a fan base. So they've kind of already had a fan base because people love Otis. People love Maxine Dupree. Well, she's kind of newer, but people really like her and really like the gimmick she's doing with the Alpha Academy. But like, people have always respected Chad Gable. Like, it's funny, I'll be sending clips to my friends about Chad Gable. I'll be just nerding out on Chad Gable stuff. Like, you know, if you know me, you know I love a German suplex, and that's like his finishing move. And like, when he did it to Braun Strowman, I sent that out to a bunch of my friends and all this stuff. So he did a really beautiful move where the Viking Raiders guy, I forget my dude's name, I think it was Ivar. Ivar is pinning somebody, and Chad Gable's on the top ropes. He does a backflip, lands on Ivar, and then immediately picks Ivar up. Ivar's like 300 something pounds. Picks Ivar up, German suplex. So it was like his finisher is usually where he gets him, wraps him up for the German, runs him into the turnbuckle or the side turnbuckle, uses that more momentum to then go backwards, roll over, and then hit you with a German suplex. But in this case, did a backflip onto Ivar, who was pinning Otis, picked him up, hit him with the German. It was beautiful. Beautiful stuff, bro. Chad Gable is amazing. I'm really hoping, I'm loving what they're doing Alpha Academy. Like, push that as far as it can go, right? I think they might need to be the tag champions in a minute. And if they can really continue this momentum with Maxine Dupree, who knows? Maybe have her eventually challenge Rhea. You know what I mean? Go in a little program with Rhea. That'd be cool. Because the people, they really love Rhea. But I think the internet is starting to, as they always do, they wanted Rhea to beat Charlotte because they was tired of Charlotte. Now Rhea got the title and they're tired of Rhea. It's like these people can't make up their minds. But I would like to see an Alpha Academy versus the Judgment Day. Like, that's a fun, just to think of like Maxine Dupree, think of Dom, and think of Rhea and all these different dynamics. Chad Gable doing thank you, like all that stuff. That's funny. So, but Alpha Academy versus Viking Raiders, really good. Their rivalry has been really cool to see. So, yeah, shout out to them. Really good job. Those are our matches of the week. Again, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Alex Coughlin, Athena versus Willow Nightingale, and then Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders. All right. The big news coming out of last week was my boy Dominik Mysterio out here getting titles. My boy won the North American Championship. He had the internet going crazy. My man had the internet on fire, bro. Last Tuesday, he won the NXT North American Championship, which is basically like the equivalent of winning the Intercontinental Championship on the main roster, right? In NXT, the North American title that's given to like the workhorse. That's given to the guy who we think has potential to be the main guy, but you know, for now he has the North American title. There's been a lot of really good champions. He beat Wes Lee, who arguably could be the greatest NXT North American champion ever, right? He had a lot of title defenses and all of them were great matches, like no duds. So, and yeah, I just think, you know, Dom, I thought it was just a great decision. Some people didn't like it. Some people don't like the thought of a main roster guy going down to NXT and beating an NXT guy coming up for a title. Some people don't like that. Personally, I don't see it that way. To me, personally, I see it as it's a win for everybody. It's a win for Dominik Mysterio. Obviously, like, dude is extremely popular. Like not in a good, like the fans hate him. He gets booed every time he speaks or every time he's seen, but that's in a good way. Like, dude has heat, you know, and he generates eyeballs, which is what the WWE cares about. And so the smart thing they did was go, okay, we got this guy who's young, who didn't ever touch NXT. He went straight to the main roster during the pandemic. And he's over as hell as far as heat goes. He's one of the best heels they have in the company right now. Why don't we drop him down, win a belt? Because he ain't. The cool thing is everybody knows Dom isn't good enough to win a championship on the main roster. He ain't beating Gunther for the Intercontinental title. You know what I'm saying? He ain't. His best chance is a tag title, maybe. But, like, he ain't beating Seth Rollins for the heavyweight title. So, like, it was cool to see a guy who, we all know Dominik Mysterio. He dramatizes everything that happens to him, right? Dude, I think he went to a county jail for like 30 minutes and he's had this whole gimmick that he went to prison and he survived in prison. He's a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like that, like taking a small instance and making it 10 times worse. The cool thing about giving him the title of the North American Championship is, hey, the North American title is great. Like, I love it. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, that's like the, you know, 7th or 8th best title in WWE right now. But with putting it on Dominik Mysterio is going to act like he just won he's gonna act like he just beat Roman Reigns for the undisputed title. That's how he's gonna act. So it's just funny to see him carrying it around like he's some big time champion when he had to cheat to win the title against Wesley. The Judgment Day was there and helped him out. I think it was Rhea, Finn, and Damian Priest helped him out. You know what I mean? So I think it was just smart. I think for Wesley, for NXT's purposes, NXT had one of its biggest biggest ratings in a few years as far as that episode where Dominik won the North American title. Like the ratings popped because of that. So that was smart. That's a win for them. For Wesley, I think it's great because I think Great American Bash is NXT's next pay-per-view. And so Dominik is going to be a part of that. So that means more eyeballs. That means you're probably going to have a sellout for that event. And Dominik's going to defend his title against Wesley. You know what I mean? I could see Wesley beating him, but I could very well see Dom winning again. So who knows? But I just think it was a super, super smart booking decision by Shawn Michaels and Triple H. It's just, and I love the fluidity they've had with the NXT roster and the main roster. A lot of main roster guys are flowing down to NXT, having some beef with some guys and then leaving. Like, to me, that's cool. Like, my biggest issue during the Vince era was Vince act like NXT didn't exist. Vince would low-key act like Raw superstars had to act like SmackDown didn't exist. You know what I mean? It was just stupid. It was like, you're traveling together. Some of these people are husbands and wives that are separated on different shows. Like, it should be fluid. It should be, that backstage, it should be fluid, man. It's a bunch of rivalries going on. So if I'm walking around, it's just like it's no lunchroom as kids, right? Like if I'm walking around, I'm going to bump into different people who's having different situations in their life going on, different beefs, different struggles they're going through, right? So like you're mingling with everybody. And so during the Vince era, they acted like everybody sat in their locker rooms by themselves, never interacted with each other, and that was it. Whereas Triple H is like, nah, that's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? And so I love how he's having people mingle around, jump from different things. If you're not relevant at the time on the main roster, okay, let's bring you down to NXT for a few episodes, get you some more TV time. Like, that's just smart. You know what I mean? So, and it keeps everybody fresh. So Dom winning the North American title, I think it's unbelievable. It's genius to me. People were having a problem with it. I think it's genius. Wesley, I think, will win it back. So, but overall, really good, really happy with that. That was like the news of last week. I've kind of talked about the G1 Classic, the G1 Climax in New Japan Wrestling. Apparently, this thing has been happening for a long, long, long time, right? This has historical precedence to it. It's sort of like, there's this, it's kind of like March Madness, but for wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big-ass tournament that happens. They keep points. The cool thing about, I do want to give people context. In New Japan treats wrestling more like a sport, whereas WWE treats it more like entertainment. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. New Japan understands storytelling. They have long-form storytelling. They have characters. They have all that, right? They don't have dudes just wrestling for no reason. However, they treat it as if, like, when you win a championship there, it's confetti falls. They give you a little trophy, like you won the World Cup. They put the championship belt on you. You know what I mean? It's a ceremony. When you get done with a match, there's people on the side, sort of like a boxing match. And like, if you get done with a match, you come out and you're sore. Okay, there's a guy running up to you with an ice bag, putting it on your head, helping you carry you out. You know what I mean? Very like boxing type of vibes. You know what I mean? So I just love that they take it to that extent. You know what I mean? Selling that we understand this is a formulated, like a choreographed dance, a choreographed combat, but we also understand like real shit happens in the ring sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And dudes be battling, put their bodies on the line. So that's what I really love and respect about New Japan. But yeah, with the G1 Classic, I'm really Climax. I keep calling it the G1 Classic, but G1 Climax, I'm really loving. Like I was looking at their website, and like if you lose a match, you get deducted points. There's like it's almost like watching the Olympics, low key. It's like you have different areas where you uh like you match up with somebody and you're in this like little, so there's like 6 people in a pod. They wrestle each other. Whoever wins out of that pod then advances. It's very convoluted, but I kind of like it that way. Like it's very, you can tell like they take it very seriously, which I like. And so I'm really just loving it. Honestly, I just love the spectacle of it. I love that, like at the end of the whole thing, like someone earned that championship or earned the right to win it. And from what I've seen in the past, I'm pretty sure Kenny Omega won it one year. Like not many American-born American-born wrestlers have won the G1, and they take it very seriously when someone who's American-born does win it. Like they let you know, okay, this doesn't happen very often, So, yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. Honestly, I just want to, bring it to the forefront for those who don't necessarily watch it. Like the G1 Climax is really fun. You can just follow New Japan Wrestling on YouTube if you just want to watch wrestling randomly, right? If you don't necessarily want to watch the whole stories and all this stuff, you just want to watch 2 people wrestle. Look it up on YouTube. Really fun, really fun, and you might catch somebody that you really like and that you can follow from that point on. So yeah, really fun G1 Climax. I'm excited to keep watching it. You know what I'm saying? It's been a good time. I did want to touch on AEW for a sec. So as we talked about before, AEW Collision started about maybe it might be like a month or 2 old now, right? It started this past summer. It's AEW Collision is a weekly television show that happens on Saturday nights, which is kind of different, right? Like that's kind of old school. Like back in the 80s, I'm pretty sure, I don't think the 90s, but I'm pretty sure the 80s, early 90s, like wrestling, and maybe even before that, wrestling came on Saturday nights. You know what I'm saying? People would like gather around. It was like a whole thing. It wasn't like on Monday Night Raw. It wasn't on Wednesdays. It wasn't Thursdays. It was Saturday nights. It was wrestling. And AEW Collision gives me those vibes. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, bro, they've been killing it. They've been killing it. Like at first I was worried because I was like, okay, you already have AEW Dynamite, which comes on every Wednesday, and then you have AEW Rampage, which comes on every Friday. And I'm like, you want to add a third show a weekly? Like WWE doesn't even do. Well, WWE has Monday Night Raw, Tuesday has NXT, and then Friday it has SmackDown. But NXT is with a totally different roster. I mean, all of them are separated, but I mean, I don't see WWE even thinking about doing a fourth weekly show, and they have the roster to do it easily. And so, and the means, obviously. So I was a little worried about AEW extending to doing 3 shows a week. I was just like, I don't know. I'm not sure, especially with attendance not being the greatest. But honestly, AEW is kind of on a comeback right now due to the MJF Adam Cole dynamic. That's getting fans popping. The Elite Kenny Omega kind of shining again, kind of being at the forefront of everything. That's big for him. CM Punk coming back. That's big for him. You know what I mean? And he's kind of been the head person as far as Collision, right? Like back in the day, AEW, back in the day, WWE Raw was built around Stone Cold. It was built around what was Stone Cold going to do? Who's Stone Cold in a beef with? All those things. And that's kind of what AEW Collision is right now on Saturday nights. It's built around CM Punk. And the cool thing is, the rest of the roster on Collision is amazing, bro. Samoa Joe, FTR, a lot of guys, and they haven't separated the rosters between Dynamite and Rampage, but sometimes they bring the guys who are on Rampage, who are on Dynamite on Wednesdays, like the Big Fish, obviously Adam Cole, MJF, not really Adam Page, but some of the big fish there outside of the Elite, they show up on Collision too. Ricky Starks, guys like that. And so it hasn't, it hasn't felt like, due to adding a third show during the week, it doesn't feel like AEW Collision is diluted in any way. It actually feels kind of enhanced, right? Dynamite and Rampage are all right, but like Collision feels like, ooh, okay, you guys, Tony Khan is really feels a way about this, really wants to present this in a certain way, and so you can tell by just the layout and everything, it just looks really good. It looks like, the show looks important, not to mention the booking. And yeah, I'm just really happy now that we have it on Saturday nights. You know what I'm saying? Saturday nights for me, I'm not a type of guy that goes out. You know what I mean? And so to catch, wrestling coming on at 7 p.m., I'm like, all right, let me check it out. You know what I'm saying? So I would advise those who just want to, have some time on a Saturday night, check out AEW Collision. I believe it's on TNT, pretty sure. So yeah, I did want to touch on some of my underrated AEW wrestlers. I feel like I may have not shouted out before. Daniel Garcia, my man Daniel Garcia, my boy's from New York. Kind of does that, like, I forgot what they call it, the drill music in New York. I know obviously they came from Chicago, but New York has its own style of drill music. But that's basically his theme is drill music, and bro, like one of his main things, dancing. It's hilarious. Like, look it up on YouTube. Daniel Garcia is pretty funny. But cool thing about Daniel Garcia is he can really wrestle too. Like, he's really good. He used to be the pure Ring of Honor champion. Like, if you're a pure Ring of Honor champion, I mean, you can really wrestle. The House of Black, I'll kind of touch on that later, but I love, for those, I think it's Malachi Black now, Aleister Black, for those who were, knew him in NXT and WWE. Really love watching him. The Fade to Black is one of my favorite moves of all time. It's a kick that actually looks good. And, some of these I saw a finishing kick the other day a lady did in NXT that was garbage. So I love to see an actual kick that looks, amazing. And Malachi Black's Fade to Black is one of the top ones. Bullet Club Gold, I've talked about it. The Bang Bang Gang they killing it, bro. Like Juice, what is his nickname? I forgot. But basically, Juice Robinson, man, love that guy. Dude's entertaining as hell. And then Jay White is just a superstar. Like Pat said last week, dude just looks like a star. He speaks like a star. He got that England British accent. He's a great promo. Dude just looks like a star. His finishing move, the Sling Blade. For those that don't know what the Sling Blade, it's basically Sister Abigail, what Bray Wyatt used to do. That's his finisher, and it looks really good. So yeah, man, the Bang Bang Gang, Bullet Club Gold, amazing. Honestly, low key might buy a T-shirt, might grab some merch. I've always loved Bullet Club. I always loved the T-shirts, but now I actually know the characters in the Bullet Club. I think they're killing it. I'm really excited to see who else they add to the Bullet Club too. And then lastly, yeah, those are our guys. So Daniel Garcia, House of Black, the AEW Trio champions, and then Bullet Club Gold. Really, they are underrated, kind of. Like, they're in the forefront, but they don't get the CM Punk love. They don't get the MJF love, the Adam Cole, things of that nature. So really want to shout them out. Now, we are moving on to WWE. We've had some developments lately. Boy, Bobby Lashley came back. He's been doing a little bit of, shaking hands, kissing babies, politicking. And people are wondering if he's possibly putting back together the Hurt Business. And me and Pat touched on it a little bit last week, but the Hurt Business, for those that don't know, the Hurt Business was a faction during the pandemic era of WWE. It was basically a faction of black men who dress well, who dressed to the T. Bobby Lashley led them. MVP was like their mouthpiece. He was kind of the Paul Heyman of the group. You had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin kind of as the flanking, as the tag team. You got to have a tag team in your stable. You know what I mean? And those guys killed it, bro. Bobby Lashley was the world champion for a while. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were the tag team champions for a minute. And there's a clip on YouTube. I forgot what was happening. I want to say there was like a brawl going on with a bunch of dudes. what is that failed faction that came up with that Mustafa Ali was the leader of? Was it Regression? I forgot. Well, I forgot what their name was, but it was like 18 of them. It was like 18 of them in that faction. They was beating people up in the ring, and I think the general manager, forgot my guy's name, Adam Pierce. He basically hired, because the Hurt Business is basically work for hire. Like if you pay them the right amount of money, they will hurt somebody for you. That's why they call it the Hurt Business. And so basically, Adam Pierce paid the Hurt Business to take care of this big faction Mustafa Ali is leading, because they're messing up shows. They jump out there jumping dudes. They're throwing everything off. And bro, there's a YouTube, it'll show it, bro. The entrance music hits, all four of them walk out there in suits. They start taking their stuff off, start beating the hell out of like 16 different people. Bro, it was fire. It looked really good. And so what people are so excited about is recently Bobby Lashley got out of his like nice little SUV. I always got to have a black SUV. That's like standard in wrestling. And he hops out with his suit. And who's waiting for him? The Street Profits. Street Profits. You know what I mean? One of the most beloved tag teams in the business right now. Two black men, for those that don't know. And they're waiting for him. And he's like, yo, my gosh, yo, what up? And like, they don't really go into detail to the conversation. They don't follow it that much, but they give you enough to where it's like, okay, y'all did this for a reason. Like, y'all know what we want. We want the Hurt Business back, and you're teasing us a little bit. And then I think it was an episode later, I think it was on SmackDown or this past Raw. He's then talking to Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, who are from NXT. Carmelo Hayes is the current NXT men's champion. Trick Williams is like his right-hand man. And Bobby Lashley shows up, starts talking to them. And we're like, all right, bro. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, y'all playing with me. Like, y'all playing with me. The Hurt Business, honestly, the Hurt Business may go down if they don't go back up. If they don't create the Hurt Business again, bro, the Hurt Business is one of the more underrated factions ever. They got broke up prematurely, but, bro, they was killing it in the pandemic era. I know a lot of people didn't get to see it due to they didn't want to watch, the pandemic era of wrestling without crowds. Bro, they were doing a thing. They were killing it. Bobby Lashley looked amazing. That's kind of when his rejuvenation started, right? And the Hurt Business really helped with that. MVP was a key player in that. And man, like, if they can hit on that and then add that, no offense to Cedric Alexander or Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin will be a Hall of Famer one day. But Street Profits that's a level up. You know what I'm saying? That's a Hall of Fame level tag team in itself. So if you upgrade from Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin to the Street Profits, that's a win. That's a big time win. You know what I'm saying? That's a steal any day. And then if you can get a guy like Carmelo Hayes, who's going to be the next, superstar in the main roster, and then Trick Williams, who has very, very high potential, that's a win, bro. And then if they can somehow get MVP back with, the Hurt Business and keep Omos the fuck away. I don't want to see Omos on my television screen. Do not, I repeat, do not put Omos in the Hurt Business. Bro, I will riot. He is garbage. I'm tired of people trying to defend his big ass. He is trash. He is awful. Like, I don't understand why we do this. I understand he is black. I love all my black men and women out there. I love you. But some of us can't do stuff, right? It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to push it just because he's big. We don't have to say he's talented when he's not. We don't have to, we don't have to say he has this amazing potential when he really doesn't. Omos is garbage. There's a reason why he's been pushed. There's a reason why they put him on WrestleMania matches just for shock value, for visual value. And then from that WrestleMania to the next WrestleMania, he gets no matches, no TV time, nothing, no moments, nothing. There's a reason for that, because he's not good. So we need to stop. Okay, that's my rant. I'm sorry. I get frustrated when people try to big up Omos like that. But I'm hoping they separate MVP from Omos. Like, hopefully, he doesn't have to be his manager anymore. Bring in MVP back to the Hurt Business, where you have MVP, Bobby Lashley, the Street Profits, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams together. Bro, they're going to smash anybody. Anybody. They would give the Bloodline a run for their money. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just really excited for what they're doing. They've teased us before. I will say that. They've teased the Hurt Business being reunited a few times, but it's never come through. And so I'm hoping now that Triple H is here, he understands the value of the Hurt Business. He understands the value of having an all-black faction who's not about, I love my black folks again, but we not raising our fists, we're not protesting. No, this is just black folks, black men wearing suits, dressed to the nines, and we're beating people's ass for hire, right? If you got a problem with somebody, if I'm trying to think of somebody who would pay them, but like if Rey Mysterio is getting his ass whooped by the Judgment Day, Rey can go walk up to the Hurt Business and be like, "Hey man, let me slide you some bands. I need you to handle something for me." Judgment Day over here talking crazy. Dom still talking crazy to his daddy. I need y'all to help me out. And then the Hurt Business be like, "Bet, say less." And then they beat the brakes off of Judgment Day. Like, that's what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really excited for what's going on. We'll see how it develops and all that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That really got me excited. Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business, the new Hurt Business reuniting. That'd be dope. Next, we have kind of the biggest question right now in wrestling as far as the main roster in SummerSlam. Is Jey Uso going to dethrone Roman Reigns as the undisputed champion and the tribal chief of the Bloodline? Now, it's funny because I like reading Twitter, or whatever the hell we're going to call this moving forward, X, or whatever the hell Elon Musk is doing, reading that social media platform, I'm seeing people go, "Oh yeah, it got to be Jey." It didn't need it. I didn't like. It was people around WrestleMania time that were like, "It shouldn't be Cody. It should be Jey who, beats Roman." And I always thought in my head, that doesn't really make any sense to me, right? That doesn't, like, no offense to Jey. I like Jey. Jey has leveled his game up big time, starting from the pandemic. Again, I should do a whole podcast about how the pandemic era of wrestling helped us get to the point we are today. And I'll touch on that one day. But Jey started his ascension to main event Jey Uso during the pandemic with Roman Reigns and joining the Bloodline and all that stuff. But I can't see it, bro. To me, you got to think business-wise. I think so many fans are so fickle and so like moment-to-moment fans instead of thinking, and maybe because like, for those that don't know, like my dream job is to be a producer, to be a person who creates movies, TV shows, and like, I don't want to be the director, but I want to have a macro view of how things should go, how the story should go. Kevin Feige level job, right? That's basically the dream job for me, is Kevin Feige's job. He's not in there directing or writing each movie, but he has his hands in everything, and he understands the story and is aligning everything to go a certain way. So what I mean by that is, if I'm thinking from Triple H's perspective, I'm thinking, okay, Roman Reigns has had this belt since 2020, right? Has not been defeated in a singles match for this belt since 2020. And you're telling me, how do I sell that to the networks? How do I sell that to the person who's just showing up, who hasn't been a fan for 3 years, who hasn't followed the story, but just watches SummerSlam and goes, "Wait, you're telling me Jey Uso is supposed to beat this guy? You're telling me this guy's the GOAT? Well, you're telling me Jey Uso gonna beat him?" Like, if I'm sitting from a producer level, I'm going, no. Like, I'm not gonna have Jey. It's just like Sami Zayn. I love Sami, but Sami cannot beat Jey. Like, you can't convince me that would ever happen. So, like, to me, if we're going to end this historical run as a champion, the greatest championship run as a champion ever, honestly, with Roman Reigns, you can't have him lose Jey Uso. It just don't sound right. Like if we're reading the history books 15 years from now, we're gonna be like, oh shit, he beat Edge, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Daniel Bryan. I could go on and on and on and on and on. But then he lost to Jey Uso? Nah. At SummerSlam? Not even at WrestleMania? Nah. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? I just think if you're thinking with a business mindset, Roman Reigns is going to beat the dog out of Jey Uso and keep his championship. Because I think they're going to eventually run it back with Cody and Roman at WrestleMania 40 in Detroit. But a lot of these people are like all emotions. They're like, bro, they was doing this every time he defended his title. First it was Finn Balor. Then it was Sammy. Then it was Drew. Well, then it was Drew. Then it was Sammy. Then it was Cody. You know what I mean? They just every time they're trying to make a case for why this next person should be the person to defeat him, just because they're hot at that moment. And I'm like, y'all aren't understanding the big picture. The reason they're hot is because they're going against Roman Reigns. That is why they're hot. That is why they are at peak popularity, is because they are on the island of relevancy, as Paul Heyman would say. So to me, hey man, respect. Jey Uso, you've killed it, bro. You should honestly be on television, acting in movies, acting in TV shows, as good of an acting job you've done throughout this whole bloodline story. However, you can't be the one, big dog. Like you can't dethrone the tribal chief. You got your win in a tag team match against Roman and Solo. You got your pin. You got to pin Roman. To me, that's the win. People are underrating. Like, to me, that is the W. But in a singles match, nah, he should beat the brakes off of Jey, keep it pushing. So, to me, nah, you can't have Jey. You can't have Jey winning. It's just to me, there's no argument for it unless you're thinking just emotion. And I get that this thing started with Jey and they think that it should end with Jey, but no, not if you're talking about, for those who have been here from week to week since 2021, sure, those fans are going to think it should end with Jey. But for the casual fan who just started watching wrestling again maybe last year, they don't give a damn about what happened in 2020. They want Roman to be beat by someone who deserves to have that title and to then carry it on, right? Because let's say Jey wins, right? Let's say he wins. What's going to happen next? Nothing. Let's say Gunther loses his Intercontinental title, and then Gunther goes, okay, Jey Uso, I want a shot at your belt. Bro, he would murder that kid. He would murder Jey Uso. Literally murder. And then it'd all be for naught. It would all be for a moment. And I think that's what I'm saying. Like, what I respect about Triple H is he loves a moment, but he wants to build a moment. He doesn't want to just satisfy fans, just like what he did with LA Knight. LA Knight didn't win the U.S. title qualifier match, challenger qualifier match. He didn't even win that one, right? Santos Escobar did. Shout out to Santos. Santos is killing it. But like the fans wanted LA Knight to win it because they wanted him to go on to then beat Austin Theory. But it's like I trust Triple H. Triple H is not stupid. He understands who's over. He understands who isn't. He understands when we have a temporary moment that we can move on from. And also he understands a moment that deserves to have it fulfilled. And I think in this case, I don't think Jey, does he deserve it? Maybe storyline wise, sure. But as a businessman, no, you cannot take that belt off of Roman Reigns unless it is at WrestleMania and against an opponent who can take that belt and carry it on for a year or so. So that's my spiel on it. But yeah, looking forward to how they go about this at SummerSlam. I'm definitely going to be tuning in, and you'll definitely hear my thoughts on our when we do our SummerSlam review. All right, folks, let's finish it out here. Now, we're going to do our top fives, of course. Got to. Top five right now is my top five favorite in-ring wrestlers, right? So this isn't necessarily personalities. I have MJF as one of my favorite personalities. Adam Cole now, Chad Gable, LA Knight, so many different people out there who I love their character. I love what they do on the mic. I love the character in general. But this particular list is my favorite in-ring wrestlers, right? And some of these guys I really love as an overall character. But right now we're talking about when that bell rings, who's my top five favorite to watch week to week. We have a few honorable mentions, but we'll kind of touch on those at the end. But number 5 for me, Swerve Strickland. My boy Swerve. Whose house? Swerve's house. But yeah, Swerve is one of the more underrated wrestlers just in general, bro. Like, Swerve used to be in NXT, killed it there, but never really got the push he deserves. He was actually held the North American title in NXT. But again, it was during the pandemic era, so he didn't get the type of shine he should have got. He got called up, but I want to say, yeah, he left to AEW before he got called up. And honestly, I think if he would have got called up, dude would have been, I think he's a superstar wherever he goes, Swerve Strickland. But I think him and AEW would have killed it. Hopefully they would have got him away from Hit Row and let him build his own thing and maybe even join the Hurt Business. But yeah, man, Swerve Strickland is one of the most talented guys in the ring we have. His finisher, that kick, oh my God. It just looks so devastating, bro. So basically, if you're sitting, his opponent's kind of sitting down on their ass and they're kind of leaning up, and he basically just jumps up and just busts you right in the side of your head with a kick, and it sounds so good. He he slaps the leg when he kicks. All wrestlers do when they do the super kick or any of these other kick, big boot, any of that. Drew McIntyre does it. You know what I mean? But when he does the Claymore, but yeah, Swerves look nice, bro. That thing looks devastating. And I just think overall there's nothing in the ring he can't do. He can hang with cruiserweights. He can also hang with the light heavyweights, and so, man, Swerve, man, he's authentic, right? Swerve he's a dude, he looks like a rapper. Like, he wants to look like a rapper, which sometimes, I'm not the biggest fan of. I've talked about that before. But with Swerve, it's authentic. You know what I mean? It isn't a guy who isn't a rapper, who doesn't live that lifestyle, who they're telling to be that character. No, this is Swerve. Like, if you heard any of his interviews, he's really connected in the hip-hop community. Like, Swerve been about this life. You know what I'm saying? Not in the streets, but like music-wise. And so, yeah, he's up from, I think Swerve is from Seattle. And like, dude is one of the more talented wrestlers in the world, honestly. Like, he should definitely get more love. I would love to see him get more like a title around his waist, maybe TNT, maybe even the international championship. He went against Orange Cassidy, and they had some great matches against each other, some great moments in that Royal Rumble. And yeah, I would just suggest those out there who haven't seen him, Swerve Strickland, one of the best wrestlers in the world, honestly. Like, I don't say that much, but honestly, Swerve is up there with anybody. He can go with the best of them. He can hang with Seth Rollins. He can hang with, Finn Balor. He can hang with anybody you name. He can hang with, Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, any of them. Swerve can hang, And Swerve is like your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. That's how much respect he has. He garners. So my number 4, my boy, Big Bad Brody King. That's an outstanding name. Big Bad Brody King. I kind of talked about earlier, the House of Black is a faction of like the most, like, what I love about House of Black is like what you think of when you think of like some dudes who, it sounds like what it is, House of Black, right? It's very inspired by like Game of Thrones type of stuff. And they just look cool, bro. Their music is dope. But what I love about Brody King, you know me. If you know me, I love a big guy who can wrestle. a big guy who holds no punches. And that's who Brody is. Brody, bro, he will chop your chest off. No matter how big you are, he will chop the hell out of you. And then when he started doing that barking, hoo, 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 like the crowd just goes crazy. Because you know, when he do that, that means he about to run full speed into somebody and freaking do a front flip. And dude is like, for those who like, Brody King is like 6'5", about 285. You know what I'm saying? Big guy, can move. And yeah, when he basically, you know, when he gets the guy in the on the turnbuckle, they're kind of laid back, kind of like in the position Rikishi used to have guys in. He ain't doing the ass stuff, but you know what I mean? The guy's like on the sitting down against the turnbuckle, and Brody starts barking. You like, oh shit, here it come. He runs full speed, kind of does the Kevin Owens front flip, and kind of like lets his back kind of hit the guy. Bro, that at full speed, Brody don't, again, that's what I love about Brody. Some guys, they slow up a little bit, do a little front flip, but they really don't hit the guy. Now, Brody, I don't know if Brody is like beloved in the locker room or if dudes are just scared of him. But bro, if that Brody, I'd have to see Brody after the match, bro. Some of the shit he be doing, I'd be like, Brody, you got to see me, bro. I might get my like, you got to see me in the locker room, fam, because dude don't care. But I think he's just beloved in the locker room, and guys trust him so much because he's just such a good worker. But man, he was doing some stuff to Billy Gunn last week that I was like, God, dog. Like Billy Gunn kind of old, bro. You ain't got to do him like that. But yeah, man, I just think Brody King is a superstar. Like I love that he's a part of House of Black. I do not want him to defect from House of Black. But I do think he had a little singles run there. He actually won, I think in 2021 or 2022, he won a Royal Rumble, like solo Royal Rumble. And he like did a headlock to Darby Allin and he on the side of the ropes. And like to eliminate him, he like basically hung him in a headlock. It looked dope. I'd never seen anybody do that before. And he dropped Darby and Darby was asleep and he hit the ground. And then of course he was technically eliminated and Brody won the Royal Rumble. And like he got a little bit of a run there, but to me, I need him to like get away from Darby as singles competition and like, hey, let's have the House of Black maybe potentially lose these trios championships. And then each one of them go on some like singles journey, still keep the House of Black. I do not want to break that up. I think it's a really cool faction. But Brody deserves to be the monster of AEW. Like AEW really hasn't had a monster. AEW is more about smaller guys, not necessarily, they love a cruiserweight, don't get me wrong. But their main talent is like the light heavyweights, you know, the Kenny Omegas, the Bryan Danielsons, the Chris Jericho's, the things that MJF, Adam Cole. So I think to truly take AEW to the next level, you got to have a monster. You got to have a guy who, when his music hits, the champion goes, oh shit, like oh hell no, like I got to go up against him. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like when dudes back in the day when they was on SmackDown and Teddy Long was like, okay, brother, you going up against the Undertaker, you know, and the fear that got into those people's eyes when they knew they had to face Undertaker. That's what I think Brody King can do. Now he's not like the mystical force. I don't think he needs any of that, but the same thing. Like Brody King is a monster, and they need to treat him that way. Personally, I think he has all the talent to be that guy. All right, number 3. I kind of talked about him earlier, so I'll keep it short. But Zack Sabre Jr., bro, one of my favorites in the ring. One of my favorite. He got that British like cocky, like he'll be putting you in a move and be like, yeah, brother, yeah, mate, and then like talking shit to him, like it's just really fun to watch, bro. He ain't got no physique. His physique is weird looking. He got an odd looking body, but dude is a superstar. And I think AEW, if they're smart, I would be like, or WWE, I'd be like, yo, whenever your contract is up, come over here, bro. Like you're too good. You should be in front of a larger audience. And so, yeah, Zack Sabre Jr., I could watch him wrestle all day. Dude is amazing. I think he's the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Champion, which is kind of a new belt they came up with pretty recently, and he's defended it really well. And I'm hoping, from what they kind of tease with Forbidden Door, that he comes back to AEW to make a few more appearances pretty soon. Number 2, FTR. FTR, man. I've It's funny. I was talking when we were talking to Pat last week about it. FTR. I was a fan, and I love their style because again they reminded me of the old school days, kind of the Four Horsemen level, Arn Anderson and some of his tag teams and kind of that old methodical style of tag team wrestling. And I really love that stuff. But for some reason, when they were in the WWE main roster, I didn't get that. I got the vibe when they wrestled, but they weren't. They were kind of disrespected, honestly. Like we talked about, like Vince never really saw much in them, so he kind of had them doing jobber stuff. Like he had them losing the teams they shouldn't lose to. He had them losing the teams they could out wrestle at any point. He had them, being like punching bags for old ass legends who came back. It was just really bad. And so I feel like it was like a jolt of energy when they came back and when they came to AEW, because it was like, oh shit, like these guys now get to show they are literally one of the top 3 or 4 tag teams in the world. And, the rivalry they had with the Briscoes and the titles them dudes was collecting championships over in Mexico, Ring of Honor, Impact, obviously AEW, even New Japan. Like them dudes was racking up championships, and it was for a reason. Their finisher is really cool. They're a true tag team, and the cool thing about it is like even seeing each one of them by themselves in solo matches, that's still fun to watch. Like they're really good wrestlers, but they're kind of that old school like New Japan build, like really big, thick, muscular guys. They're not out here trying to do dives off the rope or any of that stuff. Like them dudes just trying to beat the hell out of you. And again, like I've said it a million times in this podcast, I love that stuff. So, I love violence. I love a good amount of violence that makes sense. And FTR, just much respect to those guys. I could watch them tag team against anybody. Again, that FTR match we talked about, wrestling match of the week last week against FTR versus Bullet Club Gold is one of the best tag team matches I've seen in a long time. Even like to me, I'd put that match up against the WrestleMania Night 1 main event with KO, Sami Zayn versus the Usos. Like I'd put that up there with that one. It didn't have like the pageantry of a WrestleMania, but like if we're just talking about in the ring, I'd put it up with that one. It was really good, and obviously it was 2 out of 3 falls. So a tag team match, 2 out of 3 falls, that sounds interesting in itself, no matter who's in it. But to then have someone as talented as FTR in it, like that just takes it to another level. And then number 1, I mean, it's kind of a cop out, but this is a Gunther sponsored podcast. I will say, like we're a supporter, we're a stan podcast for Gunther, and this will always be that way. But yeah, Gunther number 1. Dude is just. I mean, it's like watching Tim Duncan grab a basketball, walk on the NBA floor the first time, or watching fucking Peyton Manning walk into a football field the first time. Like the dude is just that damn good. He's just that gifted in a ring. It's not really fair, honestly. When you watch him against other guys, you're just like, how did he get this good? Like, how is he this talented? How is he this ferocious? How is he like? And then, like, when he was Walter, I loved him. When he was big, overweight, I loved him. But then now he's to the point where he's in shape. He's even a better character being Gunther. Yeah, man, dude is just he's the best wrestler in the world to me personally. I know some people think it's Kenny Omega, and think it's Okada, a few other people. That's fine. You can think what you want. That's your opinion. But to me, Gunther is the best in the business right now. I think he's the next big champ. I can't wait till he's. My hope is that Gunther maybe loses the Intercontinental Championship to maybe like Dragunov or Chad Gable or someone like that around Royal Rumble. Gunther walks in pissed off. Walks in the Royal Rumble pissed off, and sets his sights on the championship, the main titles, the World Heavyweight or Universal Championship. And he walks in the Royal Rumble, demolishes everybody, wins it, calls his shot for maybe Seth Rollins or whoever's the World Heavyweight Champion at that time, or maybe even Cody. I'm guessing more World Heavyweight, keep Cody maybe a little separate, but hopefully Gunther can win the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania this year coming up. Maybe him versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. That would slap, bro. That might be a classic before we even see it. You know what I'm saying? That thing would be amazing to watch. But yeah, Gunther's just that guy. He's just that guy. No more need to be said on that. All right, honorable mentions. My favorite of my top 5 favorite in-ring wrestlers right now. Aussie Open. Aussie Open is a tag team. They've been in New Japan. They've been in AEW a little bit. I think they just signed with AEW, like officially, but they were I think they're now newly crowned Ring of Honor tag team champions, I believe. It's either Ring of Honor or Impact. I want to say it's Ring of Honor. But Aussie Opens, man, they're really fun to watch. They're great. They're a classic overseas tag team. They honestly do it better over there. Right? Like they take tag team wrestlings a lot. They just do it better over there. Honestly, I think we have some really great American board tag teams, but for some reason or another, man, them UK boys, them UK and Australian boys, that's Aussie Opens from Australia, obviously, they just do it different with tag teams, man. And I really love to watch them. Another tag team is the Creed brothers. I've talked about them a lot. Them boys, I could watch them all day. Brutus, like them dudes, both them guys have so much potential, and so much potential to the point where if they went singles, I could definitely see both of them working out really on a high level. The Creed brothers, yeah, them dudes, as powerful of a tag team as we've seen, honestly. Like them dudes actually wrestle in wrestling, like collegiate wrestling gear. Like that's how you know they about that action. They kind of remind me of the old like Steiner brothers. I think that's kind of the aesthetic they're going for. Next, obviously, Orange Cassidy. Now, I want to address something. My boy Pat last week slandered Orange Cassidy's name, and I will not have that. I won't have it. Orange Cassidy is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He is our Intercontinental Champion. He has defended that championship and has one of the best title reigns of anybody in the year of 2023. And yeah, year of our Lord. And I would just say, yeah, this podcast is also this podcast is a Gunther and Orange Cassidy appreciation podcast, and it will always be that way. So yeah, Pat, fuck off. We will not have any more of that slander. Yeah, because I had a homie ask me about that. I was like, well, you know what? You're right. I didn't defend his honor the way I should have. And yeah, we don't do that. Orange Cassidy is one of the best in the world. And lastly, on my honorable mention, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, man. I'm so happy for Samoa Joe, bro. Like, so I feel like Samoa Joe is like my spirit wrestler. Like, some people say a spirit animal. Samoa Joe, kind of like Gunther is now, but Samoa Joe, I feel like he's my spirit wrestler. Like, he's a wrestler I wish I could be. If I was a wrestler, that's the gimmick I would go with. Just a animal, a machine of violence, but also extremely smart, extremely knowledgeable and, intuitive, and understands like, all right, I'm trying to win championships. How do I do that? If I got to cheat, all right, cool, whatever. If I got to beat somebody's ass, cool, let's do it. And so Samoa Joe, like during his run in like TNA and stuff, I missed that. For some reason or another, I was not tapped into the TNAs of the world. I think by that time, I kind of, ducked away a little bit as far as wrestling is concerned, like week to week. But then when he got to NXT, I'm like, okay, I know this Samoa Joe guy, and I'm pretty sure I like him. And he grew on me a lot there. I became a big time fan of NXT. And so after that, he went to the main roster. I was like, oh, like bet. That match, bro, one of my favorite matches it's him, it's Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar for the World Heavyweight or for the championship. And bro, that match was hella fun. Like that match was amazing. Like people go check that match out, bro. Like people act like Braun Strowman can't have a good match, like or Brock or any of these guys. Go check that match out. That was hella fun. And like, yeah, and Samoa had so many great moments on the main roster. He should have won the championship belt on the main roster. It was just because, of course, Vince McMahon didn't like, an overweight champion, but Samoa Joe should have won the championship back then. And he kind of had some injuries, came back down, kind of took some time off, came back to NXT, was killing dudes, won the championship, got hurt again, then started doing like calling on the booth, was actually a really good commentator when he wasn't wrestling. And then I think he came back again, got hurt, and then got released from WWE during kind of at the end of the pandemic, and then showed up to AEW. And I'm like, man, please, bro, just let this man catch a break, please. And bro, did he ever? Dude has been killing it for AEW, killing it. He's one of the few people that has made the TNT title interesting. He made the Ring of Honor television title interesting. His match with CM Punk was great on AEW Collision, one of the better, opening matches we've seen as far as that Owen Hart tournament. Yeah, Samoa is just amazing, bro. His match with Roger Strong was great. It's just I just really hope Samoa can stay healthy, because if he does, like, the sky's the limit, dude. Like, he deserves to be on a main platform in front of big crowds. That's how much of a star he is, and that's how good he is, and how good he's been for years. That's why, like, people love Samoa Joe, because they know he put in that work for a long time and has been great when healthy. Has been great throughout. So he's one of the few people, bro. Back in WWE days, one of the few people I was like, during that run, I thought could beat Brock Lesnar. That I thought Brock Lesnar literally looked at with a little bit of like real life respect, And so Samoa Joe got to be up there. I'll watch any Samoa Joe match out there, whether when he was younger and even up to today. I'll watch it. So yeah, that is my top 5 favorite in-ring wrestlers right now. Again, to run it back: number 5, Swerve Strickland; number 4, Big Bad Brody King; number 3, Zack Sabre Jr. Number 2, the the AEW Tag Team Champions, FTR. And number 1, the Ring de Nara, Gunta. So yeah, those are top 5 favorite in ring. If you have anybody, let me know your top 5 favorites. Let me know, who you rocking with in the ring right now. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is not about characters. We all know, we all love LA Knight. We all love all these different people. But let me know who you love watching in the ring. Who gets you excited to watch in the ring combat? You know what I'm saying? So let me know. Hit me up in our Facebook group, the League of Melanated Gentlemen Podcast, on Twitter or X or whatever the hell Elon Musk wants to call it, at the LMG Podcast. And yeah, hit us up. You can always also check us out. Hit up the comments on our YouTube at the LMG Podcast or the League of Melanated Gentlemen Podcast. You can find it either way. If you have your top 5 there, like, review, and comment. Let me know. You know what I mean? I always love to go back and forth with folks. I'm really appreciate all the love on the podcast. I really appreciate everybody who's ever listened and continues to listen. I really appreciate it. This is a love project for me. So anybody who listens, I truly appreciate it. And yeah, I just love that, like, more people that I even talk to around me who are taking in more wrestling and, taking in, I'll send a Gunther. They're like, yo, Gunther, Gunther, nice, bro. Or Chad Gable, or, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, all this different stuff, And so I'm just glad that, like, people are, really into wrestling right now. Again, there's been a big debate on, is wrestling as big as it was in the Attitude Era, or is it even more popular than it was in the Attitude Era? It's a little kind of a LeBron MJ argument. I think that argument's kind of easy, honestly. But in this case, it's totally different factors, totally different era, totally different, social media, TV's changed, all that stuff's changed. But the main point is wrestling is killing it right now. And so if you were a wrestling fan and you went away for a while, I would say come back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We'll greet you back with open arms. Take a seat. The doors of the church are open. You know what I mean? As my mama would say. And so, yeah, come back. It's really good right now, week to week. That's AEW, that's WWE, that's New Japan, that's Impact, Ring of Honor, all these different places. It's really doing well right now. Like we're kind of in a golden era, low key. And so, yeah, if you're a wrestling fan, or if you know somebody who was a wrestling fan, who you knew really loved wrestling but kind of fell off due to, the 2000s and late 2000s, 2010s were kind of trash, tell them to come back and maybe even shout out the podcast. If you do, I appreciate it. But yeah, until next time, we out. Yeah.